Hey guys, how's it going? Kripparrian here. Today I'm going to make probably the most important video in the Saviors of Uldum expansion that you're going to watch, so pay attention. It has to do with Zephrys. This little guy is shaping the Hearthstone meta as we know it, and it's a very interesting card. It's a card that is as good as you are a player, okay? This card for the average player is actually just pretty decent, but for a good player, for a very experienced player, this card is better than any other that we've ever seen. So this guy is the reason why Highlander decks are being played right now. Highlander decks are actually some of the best decks in the game if you take out Control Warrior. Control Warrior is the best deck in the game, but like, yeah, I don't know, 7 out of the next 10 best decks include this guy in one way or another. He's just that powerful. People include him even in decks that don't run singleton combos, just so they can play him when they don't have many cards left in their deck. It wouldn't even surprise me that at some point in the future, Control Warrior without singletons whatsoever is going to include this guy in the deck. So he is just that good. Yes, sometimes you might have to rely on Blizzard AI to give you the card you're kind of planning to get, but with this video, you should be able to understand how you would be doing that. So, how does it work? Yes, basically, you play this and Blizzard calculates through many different algorithms, supposedly the card that you need at that point in the game. And I've played him a lot to the point where I can tell you guys how it will work, at least most of the time. I would say that this advice follows in the 95% category. There are some cases where he derps and he doesn't actually give you the best card, but I think we can learn, and with some experience, we can close that gap even a little further. Probably will never hit 100%, but what I'm trying to say is most of the time you're going to get what you're expecting to see if you know what card you're looking for. All right, so what card are you looking for? Now, when you play him, the way that the game decides what it's going to give you is through public information. Public information is basically how much mana each player has and this stuff on the board. He's also only going to select from the classic card set. He's not going to give you a card from Wild. He's not going to give you a card from the last expansion. He only gives you cards from the basic and classic set. So just the original stuff. And because of that, he's actually somewhat predictable. And there's a few key cards at key mana intervals that you can expect to see if you play him under certain, again, public information requirements. So if you have no mana left after playing him and you have lethal through a taunt, we'll just go up the mana cycle, he will give you silence. Silence is a very important card to know. If your opponent is counting on a taunt to stay alive, he will not do so, but you need to guarantee it sometimes. So it's best to do that when you have as little mana as possible. Play some other stuff, doesn't matter what it is, then drop Zephrys, then you'll get your silence card. Next up is Wind Fury. Wind Fury, I learned, is a surprisingly strong burst card. This is a card that you need to be aware that it exists. In some cases, your opponent will have like 20 life and he'll leave open like an 8/8 of yours. In some cases, Wind Fury is the most mana efficient direct damage that you can possibly have, and it's very important that once again, you make the AI understand that you're looking for that card. The AI is not going to know that you have like a direct damage card in your hand. You want to play that first, leave just the right amount of mana open, and then guarantee the Wind Fury for the lethal if it happens so. Now, in some cases, you might just play Zephrys on turn 2. What happens when you do that? What happens when you do that is actually very consistent. You're going to get wild growth, so you might actually want to play him on curve so you can ramp instead of going to 4 mana from 2, instead of going from 4 mana from 3, sorry, was nerfed, go directly to 5. That might be something that you want to plan on doing, so be aware that can happen. You'll also get Animal Companion, and you'll typically get some garbage like Brightwing, but forget about that. The third option is never really picked. It's either Animal Companion or Wild Growth if you play him on curve. Another time where you might be expecting a 3 mana card is the first powerful board clear that he can give you is Lightning Storm. So if you have 5 mana total and a Lightning Storm would work, play him. Get that Lightning Storm going. Now, on the 4 mana answers, there are very significant ones as well. The most significant one, in my opinion, is Mass Dispel, but I have to warn you guys, I believe the AI isn't quite tailored to give you Mass Dispel as often as it probably should. In some cases, I was hoping for Mass Dispel and did not get it. And you'll see in some of the clips, I think, one of these instances. Mass Dispel is an extremely powerful card, and it's better than a board clear most of the time, especially when you're not a priest, because your opponent will never expect you to have an AoE silence. So keep that in mind. Try your best to force it out of the AI. Other powerful 4-cost options, he'll give you Consecration. And a really interesting one that you have to really think about sometimes is Shadow Madness. A lot of the time, your opponent will have a high health taunt minion, notably if you're playing against Resurrect Priest, where if you Shadow Madness it, you can gain a spectacular lethal. Some of these taunts these days have like 20 hit points. Taking it and gaining damage on it through Zephrys is unbelievable sometimes. But again, you have to do the other damage first. He's only going to know what's on the board if you want to force out these answers to gain lethal. The most common thing that you'll see from Zephrys is Twisting Nether. Twisting Nether is going to be achieved if you're really behind but not quite dead if you play him on turn 7, or if you play him on turn 10 in order Twisting Nether on the same turn. There's also another big card that you'll see in a similar situation. It's Jaraxxus. So you might be thinking, wow, everyone can play Jaraxxus right now. That must be awesome. Well, you'd be wrong. The problem with Jaraxxus is that if your opponent is also playing Zephrys, the AI will give him Sacrificial Pact to instantly kill your Jaraxxus. Jaraxxus is the deadest of dead cards right now, so don't make that mistake. But I don't know. Maybe in some very specific situations, Jaraxxus is the right pick. Be aware that it exists. That's what this video is for. Another few fringe options that you'll see, whenever your opponent has a Murloc on the board, Zephrys will almost always recommend a Hungry Crab. Very interesting. He'll often recommend a Black Knight as well, but I've seen that he doesn't typically do that unless you want to play it that turn. So expect a Black Knight only if you have 6 mana remaining, and you might need to engineer that situation, and it can be a bit difficult to plan that as a result, so do your best. In terms of burst damage, you can rely on Zephrys to give you Lava Burst if you have 3 mana left over for 5 damage, and Fireball if you have 4 mana left over for 6 damage. Doing that as like a hunter, and I got Legend with Highlander Hunter, was a really big deal. Getting that damage burst just makes you such a deadly deck. Now, speaking of damage burst, the 2 that you really need to be mindful of, these are cards that will win you the game, but these are cards that require planning for several turns on. The win condition of Highlander Hunter and Murloc Pally and a lot of these other decks have to do with board buffing effects, and a lot of them come from the classic and base set, so Zephrys will get them for you. The 2 most notable ones are Savage Roar. That's right, if you have 3 mana left over and Savage Roar will give you lethal, Zephrys, regardless of what class you're playing, will give you exactly Savage Roar. Isn't that absolutely crazy? So you can rely on that. It's a 5 mana neutral Savage Roar, basically. That's insane. But you have to be aware that you have it. It's not just you have Zephrys in hand and you just hope Blizzard will give you the right card. No, you have to engineer the situation. You have to set it up in order for that to work. You have to set up your board. You might have to unleash or something like that. So you have to plan it out. And the next one is Bloodlust, of course. It's a little bit stronger than Savage Roar, but it costs a lot more mana, so it's typically an even more delicate setup. But these options exist. All right. If you're looking at a board where you're like 20 damage off lethal playing Murloc Pally and you're holding Zephrys in hand, you actually probably missed lethal. And that's the craziest thing about it. The card is just so awesome, so powerful. He's shaping the meta. So it's really important that you understand how to utilize him properly. And just for that reason, we got a whole bunch of clips for you guys to see. These are not full games because we want to focus on the aspect of realizing how these choices can be forced out, and how in some cases they can surprise you, how they can work. Sometimes they can disappoint you. The more experience you have playing with this card, the better he's going to be, the better your deck is going to be, and the higher your win rate is going to be in the end. So learn it. Hope I've done my part, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Let's crush it. Our win condition is going to be Zephrys in the end. Nothing else will really do the trick. It's the other heal that he has. It is pretty hard to deal with that. I'm not even sure that I can. GG Mass Dispel. Yeah.
Your wish is my suggestion.
I think the damage matters. Yes, that card is always insane. That's how they designed it.
I hope you like my invention.
A new Valore Delana. I bring life and
We're gonna have some fun.
Well, I know what to do here. Alright, what is Uldum gonna do for me? I can't counter with a trap, so... Alright, 5 times 4. I'm gonna be 1 off with Bloodlust. I'm 1 off lethal, by the way. I just want to point that out. Doing Unleash Zephrys Bloodlust.
what to do.
If he played one more minion, he'd die.
Oh, now.
No, it's 1 off.
Your wish is my suggestion.
It's 1 off because of explosive. He can't kill explosive, so...
The fate of the world hangs in the balance.
Savage Roar. I don't believe would do it.
Here comes the big axe.
That's fine.
We must band together, united for Dalaran.
Amazing.
I must safeguard the land.
I think I have to Zephrys here. I get Mass the spell.
Your wish is my suggestion.
Oh. Yeah, that's fine, I guess. Mass the spell was better. But that's fine. Mass the spell locks 3 spots in his board, and it silences the potential card draw. Oh, was that lethal? No, there's nothing that would give me lethal there. Here, we're gonna just ping that. Now he just heals. Well, he only has 1 heal left in his whole deck, so... Possibly it does not heal.
Behold, jewels of the sun.
Zephrys lethal, boys.
Your wish is my suggestion.
Show me my options. Oh, that's a spicy one. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Zephrys. What a worthy sacrifice. Dude, Zephrys, king of BM, dude. I love it. Alright, so this should give me a zero-cost spell to the right that I can play. So I need to play this spell. That's too much draw.
Behold the tools of creation.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
Your wish is my suggestion.
Pyro. It's a little optimistic.
Mortals are so squishy.
Correct. Best choice right there. Zephrys knows.
We hunger for vengeance.
Yeah. Damn, I should have rat trapped.
Time waits for no one.
I don't have any secrets left in there. If he gets too big of a board, I can twist the nether. What?
Our power is in
Oh wow. Looks like I won the game.
Who to shoot?
Your wish is my suggestion.
Spectacular. Nature will rise against you. Nature will rise against you.
Got him. That card is crazy, I know.